Hey friends, before we get started, I'm going to throw a little ad your way. So what is the spring all about? It's about getting your bike ready and learning some specific skills on how to deal with mechanicals that might happen on the road. Now let me ask you this. Do you avoid going long distances away from home because you're afraid of experiencing a flat or other mechanical and not knowing what to do and possibly having to phone someone to pick you up? I can totally relate. To avoid having this happen, I have something for you. I have created an online bike maintenance webinar that's happening this Thursday, April 7th. And in this webinar, you will learn about the following: how to take your back wheel off, how to change a flat tire, adjust brakes, repair a broken chain, patch a flat. In addition, you will learn how to use the tools you are carrying in your bike bag, such as Allen keys, chain brake tool, tire levers, how to use your pump, what chain links are for and how to use them. With these new skills and confidence, you'll be able to handle any mechanical while cycling alone or in a group. No matter where you are, this webinar is for you. I've been teaching these clinics for over 10 years, and trust me when I say everyone learns something. A recording will be provided, as well as an Amazon shopping list for the bike tools you will need. So make sure you secure your spot today at www.sylviedaoust.ca, and that's SylvieDaoust.ca. Everything is in the show notes. See you there. Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie Daoust, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Secrets from the Saddle, All Things Cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie Daoust. And I've got a return guest, Doobie Kuras. He is sitting in Minnesota, and I had him on the podcast on episode 196, talking about his his triathlon series or events that he puts on in Minnesota. The one particular we were talking about was the new one, was 4 Woman Tri. So please, if you're interested in it, go back to that episode. But we are super excited to have him back. He's a teacher in Minnesota. Whereabouts in Minnesota are you?
Minneapolis schools.
Minneapolis. And he just slipped in this little note at the end of our other podcast episode that he had a cycle tour. So I was like, hey, we need to have him back to talk about cycle tours, because there are a lot of them out there, or maybe they're not so prevalent. Like, we just hear a lot about events, but I'm super excited about having Doobie back to talk about his cycle tour. So welcome back.
Thank you. All right. So, tour, I was gonna say, like, I'm sure you want to know what the tour is.
Yeah.
Or not just the tours, but that is a good question, because a bike tour is not the same image in everybody's mind. And so that may be a good question to start with, is what exactly is a bike tour? Because
exactly.
I was none the wiser my first time.
So that's what we have. So Doobie has a tour in Minnesota, and that's just it. He's going to tell us about what is so amazing about his tour. And unfortunately, I think I heard that it's almost sold out. So if you happen to hear this and reach out to try and get in, you might be out of luck, but maybe he might be able to squeeze you in, or maybe he has more. Let's hear all about it.
Sure. All right. Well, the name of our event is the Tour of Minnesota. It's been going on since 1974. I was not on the original bike tour. It was actually started by our U.S. Senator from Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar. It was her father, Jim Klobuchar. He was um, a reporter for the Star Tribune, I believe a columnist, and that's our local newspaper. And he started it up, like most events do. You just, someone has an idea and you go with it. And it started small. And for years, it was known as the Jaunt with Jim. A lot of people had no clue where they were going to go, aside from a few cities. I mean, things have changed over the last 40 plus years with technology. There was no GPS. There was no emailing people. It was old school.
Get on the phone. Hey,
yeah, exactly. Tell your friends come? That way.
We're going to be going to somewhere. I'm not sure.
There were no podcasts, advertising it. So flash forward a few years to the year 2014. Jim was in his, I think, 39th year of leading the tour, and he was well into his 70s, if not 80s, leading it. So I give him a lot of credit for starting it up and seeing through it for so many years. A longtime rider, Bob Lincoln, he had started when he was probably 20-something-year-old with his parents, and they started going on the ride, brought him along, and he was asked to take over the tour. And so he took it over and did it for about 7 or 8 years. And somewhere along the line, or that time frame, I was invited to come by a coworker that she told me about it. And this is what I was telling you. The question is really, what is a bike tour? Because I assumed it had something to do with biking. That was about it. I come from a little bit of a triathlon background, but I had done that for a number of years beforehand. That's what we talked about in the last episode. And I'm used to, basically a time trial, like 12 to 15 miles, fast as you can, get off and, go for a run. And this one, I actually did a triathlon that morning, and it was nearby. And I met up with the group in the afternoon and then continued with the bike tour. And, I was there with my, with my road bike, but, I have a water bottle holder for like 2 bottles, maybe a spare tire, something like that. That's about it. A lot of these people had, those panniers on the side, front, back. They've got
clothes. Like this is a bike tour. This is not like somebody's carrying your stuff from one spot to another.
That's where it morphed over. But back in the day, that's what people did. So if you wanted your tent, your sleeping bag, your clothes, it was on the bike with you.
Right. Okay.
And then over time, as most things do, they change and evolve with what the needs are, the desires of the people that kind of shape it. So I joined in around 2014. I had a blast, but I'll tell you what, just some of the things I was not expecting. If there's a heavy downpour or lightning in most triathlons, they're like, we're going to wait 45 minutes and call it, if it doesn't clear up. When you're on a bike tour, you're going from one city to another city. They could be 40, 50, 60, 70 miles away. The only way you will get to that next city is by you propelling your bike there. So the first day we're like 10 minutes into the ride. We had a beautiful breakfast. Just great. I'm like meeting people. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And I didn't have a weather app on my phone, and I'm going out there. I'm like, it looks pretty dark. I was like, we should probably. I think I hear lightning or thunder. Like we should, hold off. Like no, we've got to go. So we took off, and within 10 minutes, it just started coming down on me and everybody. And that was a new eye opener for me as to riding on a bike. I was very glad my bike was carbon and not some other sort of metal that attracts electricity. So. Really. Things like that go through your mind as you're out there. Along with like, I'm in there in the aero position. I'm like, why? Like, what did I sign up for? But I don't want to discourage people from it. But that's really what bike tours are. That's the worst that happens is, you get rained on. But when you get to see a community or the state or wherever by bike, and you're not doing 60, 70 miles per hour in your car, you don't have a device in your hand, and you're just taking in. And for me, now I'm 8 years into it. I get to see and appreciate the small towns and vistas and the communities and culture of the places we go through. So that was a great part about bike tours in general. And you've probably seen them or heard of them too. I mean, you have ones where little boutique ones down to a few people out for a ride, all the way up to 10, 20,000 people for a really big major one. Ours is just about 200 riders
oh my God, just a 200 riders.
Well, yeah.
I'm like 25, 50.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah. Well, and that's what it was for a number of years. It would usually be about 100, 125 people. And then, it's just a lot, I don't say easier, but there's a lot more options to advertise yourself nationwide and beyond. We've got besides people coming from 25 different states, I guess they're not coming from Minnesota because they're here, but there's 25 states being represented, and we have someone from Canada. So see?
Whoa, how'd they hear about you?
Once the borders open. Well, that's what it comes down to. Someone's obviously spreading the word, or they're able to, find you. But the next step is actually putting on a good quality event, because if people are going to spend their time, a week of their life and money to put towards it, you want to make sure you're giving them a fun event that they're going to really enjoy, appreciate that they took a chance on, and hopefully, same thing, spread the word to other people.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome, because if I was in a different state, if I could go cycle in another state, wouldn't that be just the best way to see the best parts of that state?
Yeah,
right?
There's people out there that's, I wouldn't say their bucket list, but the idea is that every year they just pick a new state to go to. So we have some people that just go with us the once and then try a different state. Others, they're like, hey, we really had a fun time. We'll say
that is
probably
cool.
like Canada. We talked about this. Minnesota is really, really nice in the summertime. That is a great time to be out biking and doing things outdoors. So it's a really good time for people from other states to come visit.
So you are no longer bike packing. So that's not, or bike touring. I saw that the picture you sent me with all the bags. So you do have a system where, you get somebody will carry the bags to the next location.
Yeah.
And it is 6 days long.
Well, 6 days of biking.
6 days of biking.
We meet up on a Saturday afternoon and then head out the following Sunday morning. And then we bike for 3 days. We take a day off and then bike for 3 days. And it's a loop. So we get back to the same spot that we started.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So tell us about the loop. Like, were you starting like the northern part or?
Well, we'll be in north central Minnesota. Okay. Some bike tours are an out and back. Some are a loop. Some even do you just cross the state and then that's a whole logistical thing. You have to figure out how to get, back, where your car is. But for, most people, they still have to do the biking, but we pick a city that we're going to start in. And then we just try and find routes. Sometimes it's our trails.
So they change every year.
Yeah, that's one we found. I big change from when I was doing my triathlon. I'm like, nope, my triathlon, same route. I know which lake. Logistics work out really nicely.
Yeah, you don't have so many options, right? This road, that road.
Exactly. Lake, for a bike tour, some people do. They like the same routes, but we do. We switch it up. We're actually revisiting essentially the same cities that we did 6 years ago. So not that way, not just looping, but literally we're coming back to cities that we've used in the past, which makes it easier because we have some of the same contacts. And it's really nice when we go to talk to these contacts and we're like, yes, we remember the tour of Minnesota.
Cool.
And thank you. We want you to come back. And I probably didn't actually say that we did switch over the name 8 years ago to the Tour of Minnesota. And it's still the same, a lot of same people, but and same ideas. But we're just, like I said, changing to meet the needs of the people that want to participate. Back in the day, it wasn't unheard of to do 80, 90, 100 miles in a day with all your gear on there. Now these days, it's a little more manageable, 40 to 60 miles in a day. We have a rest stop, available. We provide a lot of the meals. We transport luggage from city to city. funny story is because I did do luggage for the last few years before I took over the ride. And one of my daughters helps me. She's been coming out, and she's like almost 16 now, but still, we try to tell people a limit of 50 pounds per bag.
Yeah.
And you think that should be plenty. And we have some people that either try and cram it into one bag and they push the limit. We have some people that'll push the limit with 2 bags. We weighed. I bring a scale out there just for fun. I'm pretty good. I like lifting, and I'm pretty accurate within a few pounds of what things weigh. I should be at a carnival predicting weights, and we had the scale out there, and I threw one up there, and it was like 70 pounds. And then the person I saw had another bag, and that one was like 70 pounds. Now my question is, what does a person need 140 pounds worth of anything on the week-long bike tour? And they weren't even camping with us. They were staying in a hotel. So they didn't even have sleeping bag, tent, but they had
Did you ask?
I was like, that's a lot. I said, my daughter's only about 120 pounds. This is like well over half her body weight. So yeah, we get a lot of range of what people want to bring or what they think they bring. Over time you start learning, what they avoid. But I think people have really enjoyed and forgotten about the days where you used to have to carry your own gear, and then you had a better appreciation about how much you would bring. So
oh yeah, I love seeing those pictures of everybody's those bike packers with all their stuff laid out around them is what they need, and then how much their bike weighs after the fact. But I imagine I think everybody gets maybe a little surprised when they do one of these for the first time, like you said, your little oh, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
And then they come back the next year a little bit more prepared, or do another event later on in the summer, and then they're like, okay, I know what to expect.
You're exactly right on that. You need some experience because for me, I've done Ironman. I can bike 112 miles in a day. I've done that. Yeah. However, after that day of biking 112 miles, I did not get back on my bike and I have to bike it again. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm like, I was like, how many miles? And my coworkers tell me about it. I'm like, so 60 to 80 miles, 6 days in a week. It's like, I don't, I do that, but just not, back-to-back days. So you start learning, one, you need to get some preparation, and you don't just hop on your bike because your body will tell you differently when you come back. You need to make sure your bike is fitted to you. Just things like that will really help. Make sure you have clothes that are appropriate. A lot of people that are not used to using biking shorts and padding, you start going to the store, you're like, I want the nice thickest ones we can find.
Oh, you're
so you start getting smarter about that, because that makes it. But we get bikes of all different kinds. I imagine it's not too different from a lot of other bike tours, but it used to be just your traditional road bike. Then we get people with 3-wheel bikes. We'll get two-wheel
trikes.
recumbents. Yeah, trikes. We'll get people on recumbents, tandems, things like that.
Oh, cool. Have you ever had anybody in a velomobile? Have you ever seen
No, I'm not even familiar with that, but I can tell you I'll be Googling that.
Oh yeah, I do it. It's like a trike surrounded in a capsule. It's like a mini car.
Like wind protection or something like that, maybe?
Yeah. And it's like a whole thing.
What's really big these days, though, is it doesn't make sense, is e-bikes. We're getting a lot of questions. Do you allow e-bikes? And it's we do. It goes
just
back
as long as you know how to ride it and apply your brakes.
Ride it safely. And if the power goes out, you're responsible for charging.
Yeah, right.
Responsible. If the power goes out, you have to pedal it. But it's if it's a new segment of the market, it's growing. And we want people to feel like they're included. It's not some sort of a competition. It's about enjoyment. So if someone's going to enjoy themselves on it, then so be it, and we can help accommodate that. So here's one. Oh, go ahead.
Well, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, was following up with the electric, e-bikes. Something else that's, I want to say new, but back 40 years ago, they were not worrying about a charging station for everybody's phones and devices. So that's one that we had to implement a few years ago. We have a generator that in an event that we're in a spot that doesn't have plugins, People, we just put out power strips, and people can come in and charge their phones. So that's another thing that really has changed over time. And I mean, what person is going to now? I'm not going to go to somebody and say, hey, we're not going to have electrical for you. You cannot have your phone.
You're like, I can't bike unless I have Strava.
Yeah, yeah. But we do have our maps on there. We put maps on and things like that. So there's a reason for it. Some people like having the music, but in the end, they need to be able to charge devices, charge their bikes. We provide meals for people. Most of the meals for the week.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. So what should somebody expect if they sign up? Because you mentioned hotels and you mentioned camping. So just talk about the whole setup and what they're signing up for.
Sure.
So it's like 5 days out of 6 you're cycling, things like that.
But every night they're essentially camping or sleeping somewhere, because it's a week-long event. We secure some sort of campsite for people. We contract with local schools, parks, cities, things like that.
Okay. Yeah.
To find a suitable area for flat ground, not in a floodplain, for camping. Yeah, or sprinklers.
It'd be nice.
Didn't think about that, but these days automated sprinkler systems going off at 5 a.m. And
oh my God, have you ever had that happen?
Not on me, but I hear about it.
Oh shoot, I never thought of that.
So it's things like that you wouldn't think about that they didn't have to do years ago, but now as things are more automated. But no, what we'll do is we'll find a suitable camping ground, somewhere where we have access to showers, bathrooms, even an indoor spot in the event of inclement weather. It's not unheard of for high winds or tornadoes or things like that. It's just a storm coming through. You want to make sure people have a safe spot to go to if necessary.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we're camping underneath the stars. And we also kind of connect with local hotels, because not everybody wants to. They may want to just, especially, you're flying in on a plane. You don't want to bring your sleeping bag, your tent, whatever.
Right.
They're like, we'll just stay at the local hotel and still be a part of it. And then there's an in-between spot. We have a tent service that my daughter who comes along, it's Joey's Happy Campers. She sets up tents and then takes them down every day for the week.
Oh,
and
wow.
She's basically like their little personal valet. She brings their bags to and from. So it's kind of a cross in between. You're not staying in a hotel, but you're also not just doing
you're not having to put up your own tent and
stuff. Yeah, a wet tent in the morning. You got to take it down, stuff it in your bag. So we get a mixture of it. And it's it seems to work well. For me, I like camping. A lot of people do, but it's not for everybody. But they want to be a part of it, and that's the big thing we're going for. We talked about it with the triathlon. One of the things we were known for was finding an entry point. We didn't want everybody. We wanted everybody that wants to feel like they could be a part of it. So one of the things that we actually did last year was we stayed in a city 2 nights, but we rode both days. Now, normally we'll find a rest city, where we'll stop, we'll stay there for 2 days, and you just ride if you want to. Well, last year we had an opportunity where one of our stops was going to be around a lake and would get us back to the same spot. And so we told people, well, you have some options here. You can bike the 70 miles around on your own, supported, but you do that. Or the lake had a ferry that crossed it, and it would cut the route in half. So we told people, if you want, you can just do like 35 miles. And then we also said, hey, I suppose if you want, you don't have to bike at all. I said, this is your vacation. And people like that. They like having the options, of picking it. Some people wanted to go long distance. Other people were like, what, 70 miles yesterday was a lot. I need to recover and get used to this. Ironically, bad weather hit, and we had a storm come in, and we did have a lot of people, which it worked out well that year, that day. But we're doing it again this year, where we have a spot where we stay in a campsite twice, and there's a trail that people can go out 30 miles or so and come back and visit 3 or 4 really cool, fun towns along the way. And
cool! Back. Like a rail trail.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Rails to trails type of thing.
Okay, nice.
And it's nice and flat. It's shaded. It's scenic. But the bottom line is people like those options because not
Mm-hmm.
everybody can handle it. You're right. We're into the cycling. We're competitive. We like that, going and pushing ourselves. Not everybody's like that. They just want to enjoy the
Yeah.
ride and be a part of it. And that's really what we're trying to do is give people options because maybe someone's coming with their child or, they're coming with a spouse, somebody who's not used to doing as much volume, but they want
Right.
to be part of it. And that's what we're starting to see now because like most things, your demographic starts aging up if you don't
Yeah.
find something or people to replace them because you're only going for that demographic. It
Yeah.
should be biking. We've talked about this before. Biking is something we all learned how to do as kids. It shouldn't be like a one and done, like I'm never going to hop on my bike again.
Well, that's where the e-bikes come in. And it's the same here. Like you get partners coming in, the husband's a cyclist, the wife is not. You put her on an e-bike and they can bike together
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's happy. You know what
That's
I
what you're
mean?
looking for. It
Everybody's
should be.
happy. Yeah. Yeah. So that's
I
pretty cool. Now, where are you starting? Because that's your shirt, right? Is that your shirt? Your official tour? Oh, okay. So I was thinking it was like the map. It's kind of is the
You'll
map,
see it in a
but
second.
okay. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. Shift a little bit more to the center. Oh, there we go. It's kind of, yeah.
So
Nice.
that's our map from last year. That was something we've done on our shirts the last several years. Is we put a picture of the map on there so people have a keepsake for it.
Yeah.
So we are starting in north central Minnesota. It's a town called Brainerd. So it kind of sounds like the brain. Brainerd, Minnesota. Yeah, it's a little translation. It's Brainerd. But yeah, we're
can't forget it.
Yeah, the rail trails. We're taking it for the first 3 days, making our way up to a quaint little town in northern Minnesota, Walker, making our way up to Bemidji. And then as we come back down, we're going to go through Itasca State Park, which if you're not familiar with it, most people in Minnesota are. Itasca State Park is the start of the Mississippi River. That's where it starts off. And so people will be able to go through the park, see that at the headwaters, have lunch there before we make our way back down south to Park Rapids and Staples, Minnesota. And then we return back to Brainerd.
Wow. So the majority of your riding is on trails, like rail trails.
Yeah, the first 3 days.
3 days. Okay.
Yeah, and then we take county roads on the way back.
Okay.
Which is interesting. Some people like trails. Some people don't like trails. And some people want to be on the highway or, county roads and other people don't. And it's interesting because I like using the trails because it's a predetermined route. I don't have to check on as much logistical permits, things like that.
To worry about safety.
Exactly. And the trails are there because the state or the county is saying, hey, let's create a pathway for bikes for safety purposes. So it's nice, but you do have some people that would rather be on the open road and some people who fear being on the open road. So we try to do a mixture of that. But the bottom line is we're looking for a few things is we want to make sure that we're visiting out of the way places. We'll visit some bigger cities, but we want to take people through a tour of Minnesota, the small towns that make it up. From all the way up on the Iron Range to down in southern Minnesota, which I found out southern Minnesota's got if you see wind turbines when you're on a bike tour, they're there for a reason because it's windy. Okay.
We've got them all over. Well, okay, not here, but like in certain parts of Quebec, and they're popping up. Certain parts of Quebec. I just noticed more of them. Yeah, I just we
have them in southern Minnesota, northern Minnesota. Not so much, but it's different parts of the state, and so that's what we're trying to do is
it's the wind.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I didn't realize that, but that wind blows on the open road.
You're like, can you feel it on your bike?
So things like that we're looking for, but it's there's a lot of really fun small towns in Minnesota, just like all over, that are. We just happen to do it, I'll say primarily in Minnesota, because every once in a while we'll go by the border and we'll go into Wisconsin, things like that. We'll kind of be close to the edge of the state. But essentially that's what it is. We want people to experience some of that culture and history and heritage of the different small towns. And this is a way of doing it.
Of course, especially if you can get them all connected through rail trails. That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. So I imagine that last year's group get the first email about being invited back to.
They do. They do. We have a mailing list, that we send out to people, just alerting them. As you talked about before, our ride, our event is full. This is the fastest we've ever filled. Within 1 hour of opening on February 1st, we had 100 people signed up.
Holy wow.
And by 8:00 that evening, we were pretty much sold out. We had less than 10 spots left. And, we had a wait list going. So it was good. Normally we sell out within a week of our spots. We just got a little more creative with ways that we were going nationwide with advertising. Just because, it used to be just purely word of mouth. And that's what it would be. Then, this day and age where you can, your website and, internet searches, things like that, putting it on different publications. We're on exploreminnesota.com, things like that. It really helps out to spread the word. And that's where we started seeing a nationwide presence where people were truly coming from other states, not just because a friend told them, but because they happen to do a search. And I guess the name really does help because when you do Bike Tour Minnesota, it's in the name. So it really helps.
Tour Bike Minnesota.
Yeah. Seems like a good fit.
Well, so knowing that, are you considering expanding your registration for next year? Like,
no, you're always thinking about that, and it goes back to like with the triathlon.
It's logistics, right? Like you've got to control it.
We want to, there are some other events that are bigger and have that capacity infrastructure. Things like showers. Places only have so many showers, and you wouldn't think that.
That's why you got to start camping beside lakes.
I'm all for that.
Take a go go swim.
Just like anyone else would do if we were out there. If you don't have it around, you make do. But as people come through, that's what it is. They do want those options. Also meals. Trying to find food for a couple hundred people, things like that. But right now we're at our largest field. We'll have 200 participants plus about 15 to 20 staff. Normally we've got close to 200, but that included the staff. And so that was our goal. I was pleasantly surprised. I was, really nervous officially taking over this year that maybe I didn't go on Sylvie's podcast.
Oh, stop it.
But I'm like, maybe this is what's going to happen.
Well, but here's the thing, Doobie, do you have a newsletter that people can get signed up for?
Oh yeah,
because people are going to hear this.
Website, they can.
Yeah, they can't get registered for it because it's full. But you have one, right?
Yeah, if you go to our website, the tourofminnesota.com, there's a link to get on the mailing list.
All right, so it's up to you to get on the mailing list for next year or anything else that he has up his sleeve. Do you have anything else up your sleeve?
No, not so much, but I will say, funny you should mention about the getting on the mailing list, because the whole reason I'm in this position right now is because 4 or 5 years ago, when the numbers really went up, I was waiting. I was like, oh, my wife has talked about she wants to go and her friends want to go. I'm like trying to email back and forth and get them on, and the thing sold out. So then the person who was in charge of it, I went back and like, can I get on the waiting list? And he goes, you don't want to wait. He goes, there's too many people. He goes, but if you're willing to be on our staff, I can get you in and you can still ride. And now here I am, 4 or 5 years later, I'm actually director. So you got to be careful, because I did find my replacement for me on the luggage truck this year was a person who did not make it in on time and noticed.
You start sifting through the waiting list.
So I told him, I said, hey, I was like, you could do that. And I said, but be warned. I said, you may be in my position in a few years running this thing. So no, it's great. Bike tours, I think, are a great way to it's healthy exercise. You're going to be going great distances of miles. So you're going to see something. It's funny when they talk about like the marathon every state. Yeah, technically that's a good thing, but you don't nearly see as much running as you can on a bike.
Let's not even compare the two, shall we?
It's not the same thing. But if you ever get a chance, whether it be the Tour of Minnesota or any other bike tours nationwide or even in Quebec, anywhere, it's just, in my opinion, a great way to enjoy yourself and see the countryside. And you may get rained on, you may miss a meal, or you may eat too much. It is what it is, but you don't know what it is. And it's something that you can definitely have stories for years to come to talk about the different trials and tribulations that you experience.
Now, for the food, is it all catered, or do you make it, or
that's a combination? We do I'm going to say combination
or restaurants.
Yeah, we got 200 caterers, restaurants, and then there's a few times where people are out on their own. In fact, we're trying something new this year, where we give them a voucher to go to more than one restaurant they can pick where they go, because that's the problem we were having. That's
a great idea to go into the community, because that's a lot of what they want, right? It's not just biking through, but eating there, shopping there. If
we only use one caterer or one restaurant, only that one caterer or restaurant gets the business. We want people to experience it. So we're trying to find campsites that are close to town. People can walk the ride over there and go do different things. So like I said,
have you tried churches?
Oh, yeah. We used to do a lot of the churches. The downside or issue is just with all the health regulations and liability, not to mention they're not, some places are not. We've had like youth groups make meals, and a 15-year-old's idea in their head of what
you should go with the restaurants.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about camping at the churches.
See? Oh, for that. Yeah, exactly. We'll go wherever people will take us, but
because they're in the villages predominantly.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe,
that's who you connect with, is the churches know where to find people, and they're like, oh, we've got someone who can help with that. And I'm like, there we go. So, and that goes back to that connecting with the culture and the community. There's a lot of connection between, everything involved. And you don't always see it on an internet search where you're like, oh, let me type into town. They don't, but then when you go there and visit and scout and talk to people, they're like, oh, we know somebody that can help.
Oh,
do something. So
and discounts to go shopping and all sorts of things.
Oh yeah, no, it draws my.
That's why you need another bag.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff it in there. I'm like, I don't remember you having this many bags. When
that's right. I just brought an extra one. But hey, so I was just thinking, now, is there such a thing where maybe it's a national board, like a North American board, that lists like all the tours in the different states? Is there something that exists like that? Like if you want to do
something along those lines, there's a national bike tour network.
Okay.
And just different locations, but ours is not really, listed on there. We're trying to, and now that I'm, it's a quick learning curve to try and
like
get
a checklist. Okay,
exactly of where to send things.
Minnesota,
exactly.
Georgia, Florida, and that'd be kind of cool, because I'm sure there's a lot of them.
But no, there's a lot, and actually one of the things that I'm going to do is sign myself up for a bike tour in another state. So I can see what they're doing over there, and how things are done differently, what people like. Because right now, all I know is all I know. And I talk to a lot of people and ask them, and I'll mention like, oh, the Tour de Wyoming or Ride Oregon or whatever. A lot of cool names, I will tell you that. But they know it, and so they're trying to relay the information to me. Well, I'd like to see it firsthand. I'd like to experience it, and as a courtesy to another group that's putting on an event, say, hey, let me be a part of that and learn from you and enjoy myself. I know I did that with the triathlons. I do a lot of volunteering. I do participation in a lot of the different events, so that I'm not just looking through my lens. I can see what other people are doing elsewhere.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the best way to learn. Biking all over the place. I know for myself, I feel the need to start doing that. Like I feel like I've just been in my little bubble here in Chelsea and not going very far. And I'm like, I just in the last little while feel that if I'm going to do something, I need to do it outside of the confinements of where I am.
And it changes what you're, thinking of. In triathlon, that's what, if you're a runner, whatever, that's what it is. It takes you outside your comfort zone. When you do a bike tour, you're not just going down to the coffee shop to, get something, come back. This one is, you have to put some thought into this because you're in there for the week, and it's a whole different experience. It's a great experience, but you'll have a better experience as you evolve. And that's what it is. I'm just a big believer in like testing it out, trying. It may not be something I like, but let's try it. And so far I'm liking the bike tours, and apparently a lot of other people are too.
Yeah, because even the Canadians. Woo!
One Canadian, yes.
One Canadian. Don't worry, if there's one, there'll be more. But it's just like, because I've always been like the organizer, right? And I just like need to be a participant now, just go and have fun and not have to think about all the other stuff that goes on. And so that's why like this part of bringing people onto the podcast and showcasing different events for our listeners is really important. And not only for everybody else to find out what's going on around us, because our largest listenership or audience is in the States. It's not Canada. Canadians, hello, what are you guys doing? Hello, I'm Canadian. No, but it doesn't matter. They're number 2.
Sounds like the hockey.
No. Canada won.
Did they? All right. So number 1 or
last
2.
time I think of the US one, but in any case, but and it's just cool to hear about these things and talk to organizers, because they always have a different story. And I've done I haven't done bike tours, but I've done cycling camps where we've stayed in one space, but I've organized it, right? I've been the organizer, because I'm like, I want to do something. So what better happens, right? You want to do something, you start organizing and pull people in, and, and then
that's how it all starts.
Yeah, I know, that's how it all starts. That's why you need to go and just be the person, the follower, just like, what are we doing today? I don't have to think about it. Where's my food?
Yeah, it is. It's a good thing. And that's why I do enjoy when I like for my triathlons, when I go do other people's events, I'm like, oh, this feels so good.
Yeah, it's just like nobody knows me.
But I do have a better appreciation for the, even the volunteers. I've thanked volunteers on the swim course as I'm like swimming. I'm like, thank you. And they're like, did that guy just thank us? I'm like, yeah. I appreciate it. And, I'm going to keep going. I probably won't see you again, but those that I can, because it takes a lot of work, effort, and time to put into it. But it's, just one of those things that it's a labor of love. I mean, it's a bad cliche, but, and I try to involve my family. So, they're a part of it. Also spreading the workload. Over the past 8 years, it went from the one person putting it on and maybe 1 or 2 other people to we've got 15 to 20 people working with us right now. Wow. And it makes it a lot easier and hopefully a better experience for everybody. So I'm not stressed. I've got people that are feeling like taking ownership, and also they're able to put their spin or their flavor on it because they're like, hey, we thought about trying this. Otherwise it's just me. And I have a lot of areas of growth, and that's something I can grow from is by hearing what they have to say.
Yeah. Well, that is super cool. I am so appreciative of you being here to share that with you. So unfortunately, everybody, like I said, you're going to have to get on his mailing list.
We're going to work for 2024. We haven't announced, or no, 2023. But we haven't announced where we'll be yet, but it is, I'm sure wherever it's going to be a fun time held by all. And, we'll just have to wait and see. But for right now, if you see us out on the roads, that'll be us.
Yeah. All right. So what's your website?
tourofminnesota.com.
So you go there and you make sure you sign up for that newsletter so you don't miss out. And also they're on Facebook. So Tour of Minnesota. So you can go and follow all the fun. Something like following all the fun and having FOMO and getting your act and yourself ready for next year. So thank you so much again for being a guest on the podcast. I really appreciate you coming back so soon. Yeah. And don't forget to go check out Doobie's episode 196, 4 Women Try. So if you are into the triathlon world and you are a woman, you can go and participate in that event. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure you'll catch it. What date is that?
I probably should know that, but August 28th.
Oh yeah, you got lots of time.
Yeah,
sign up for that one.
And it's nice and warm. Today is not a good, today I think it's like 20 below with the wind chill.
Oh, colder than us.
Yeah, go figure. And that's why this June, July, and August are beautiful times to be in the water and out on the roads on a bike in Minnesota.
So there you go. You got an event for you right there. So with that, thank you so much. Thank you to our listeners. And thank you again. Take care and have an amazing day. And don't forget to follow the podcast on Instagram at Secrets from the Saddle Podcast. Take care, everyone. Bye. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Secrets from the Saddle podcast, learning more about sighting people, places, and things that make cycling such an exciting sport. I am so glad you stopped by today. Please leave me a review if you feel so moved to do so. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you could take 1 second to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it, I would be forever grateful. Also, if you could please leave me a review if you feel so moved by going to iTunes and leaving me an honest thought and an honest comment, telling me what you think, and most importantly, tell me what you'd like to hear more of. It would really help me to bring more great, inspiring cycling stories to you. Until then, have an amazing day. Make sure you ride your bike. And don't forget to visit my YouTube channel if you'd like to see the full version of this podcast live.